If you've ever wanted to completely customise your own PC, then now is the time. AeroCool have launched this unique case that lets those of you with an artistic streak or the urge to create something completely one-off adorn it with your own artwork. It's called the Skribble Case, and the tempered glass front and side panels allow you to use liquid chalk to illustrate on them and create a custom case from the comfort of your own home. And the case has RGB lighting positioned to shine through the glass panels to best light up your artwork. You get a liquid chalk marker in the box, and you get a wiper too, so you can start again if things do happen to go a little bit pear-shaped. The Skribble Case is an ATX mid-tower design, so of course it'll fit a full-size ATX motherboard, and it allows users to connect and control up to 6 addressable RGB fans with its 6-port ARGB control hub. It includes one 12cm ARGB fan with PWM compatibility and 2 120mm black fans in the front of the case. The air vents in the front panel deliver increased airflow, and you can show off your graphics card by mounting it vertically with the 2 PCIe slots. It supports both liquid and air cooling at the front, top and rear. For liquid cooling, you have options for a 120, 240, 280 or 360mm radiator in the front, up to a 120 or 240mm radiator in the top, and a 120mm rear radiator. If we take a look at the front top edge, you'll find your power and reset switches, as well as an LED control button, 2 USB 3 ports, HD audio and mic ports. Now, AeroCool, for those of you who aren't aware, are a brand that started with thermal products but quickly made a name for themselves as innovators in cooling design. Now they've expanded into the case, PSU and peripheral markets and are chosen by gamers for their high build quality and edgy designs, so it's no surprise to see them bring out such a unique case. And they've also put together a range of really helpful videos to help you get started with your Skribble Case, from how to connect your fans to customising the LED lights. Since we've had this case in the studio, it's actually had a lot of interest from Scan staff, especially those with an interest in art. So we thought, why not give it to one of them to style up? So we've tasked Carol from our marketing team, who also just happens to be an artist, with designing and drawing a bespoke case design. And Carol joins us now. Thank you very much for that, and good skills on the old case there. How did you find it?
I really enjoyed the experience. It was much easier than I expected it to be. I really enjoyed the final look.
Excellent. Well, I know that you actually are an artist, so how did you approach this then? Because I could see there that you had like a tracing underneath and then you went over that. So talk us through the process that you used, any tips you'd give people.
So I drew the design digitally first. It allowed me to practice getting the proportions right and mess around with the layout a little bit to make sure that I was finally happy with the finished piece before doing the design on the actual glass, which took roughly about 6 hours in total.
Wow.
It was really fun. I did that digitally using a graphics tablet, and I then had that printed off to size, and then when it came to doing the design on the glass, I just laid the panel on top of it, and it allowed me to just be able to trace it and work in segments whilst the paint dried in certain sections.
Of course, because I imagine that would be easy to kind of smudge, wouldn't it, if you hadn't thought it through. You're obviously a perfectionist then,
yes.
But rightly so, because this is something obviously that you're going to display proudly in your house. Obviously the beauty of this though is that you can wipe it away if there are any little mistakes, or if you want to change and update it, wouldn't you? How easy is it though to actually do?
It was fairly easy, especially when you're coming to taking away any mistakes. I used glasses cleaners because obviously with it being glass, you'd want to make sure that there aren't any smudges remaining once you've wiped away the design. I also found it fairly easy to, once you let the paint dry, you can just slightly brush away and use that to thin out the lines a little bit more.
Okay.
Which is how I did the scan logo, the hex, I just did the full hex and then scraped the S into it.
Ah, yeah, because it's a bit tricky, isn't it? It's very intricate, that, isn't it? Good skills. So tell us then, what was the inspiration behind your design? Did you always know what you were going to do, or have a few different kind of options, or how did it all come about?
So I knew I wanted to do something tech-based, and I'm a big fan of like sci-fi genre, and I feel like the sci-fi genre is a nice nod to tech, which is obviously what AeroCool and Scan predominantly focus on. And so I did a few variations when it came to designing the mech, but I wanted something, you know, nice and bubbly, because that's sort of my personality.
Yeah.
So this was sort of like, I kind of always knew I wanted to do something mech based.
Yeah.
And I like I like a lot of space games, and I know we do a lot of flight sim stuff, so it made sense to do a spaceship on the front.
Excellent. I love how you've thought through every element there. There's quite a nice story, isn't it, that makes it really unique, which is, of course, what this is all about. I know you said that it took 6 hours to do all the digital printing and design. What about actually coming to drawing on the case? How long did that take?
Because of the prep in advance, it, I think, took roughly 2 hours-ish.
Excellent.
It meant that I could, you know, knock out the more detailed aspects fairly confidently.
Yeah.
It meant that I didn't have to really erase anything, because the proportions were all there, which is the hardest thing to get done. So yeah, the actual painting was fairly easy, so I would definitely recommend planning out what you're going to do in advance.
So having had a go then, what are your top tips then for people who may be thinking they might like to have a go at this? You've mentioned some of them there.
Make sure you're wearing gloves. The last thing you want is when you put the RGB up to just have fingerprints all over the place.
Yeah.
If you do design it first digitally and then go to trace it, make sure any text you do is reversed, because that's how it'll come back.
Good skills, yeah, like that one. Something you could easily overlook and then think, oh, I've got to start again.
But other than that, I'd also say work in sections, because you minimise risk of smudging the work that way. You can let it dry and then go back to it.
Yeah, excellent skills. I think the end product looks absolutely awesome, and it's a complete one-off, which is the beauty of this case. What are your actual thoughts then on the case? I know you're an artist, and you said that you'd been kind of, you know, chomping at the bit to do something like this. So what are your actual thoughts about the case and the design that AeroCool have put together for this?
I really like that the case itself is minimal in its design. It just allows for the work that you do to really shine. You don't have to contrast with anything. There's no elements that you have to work around. It's just, you know, as much glass panel as possible, which I think is quite nice.
You know, this isn't full of components just yet. You can add in lots of different things that have added RGB, put extra light strips and stuff. How much did you consider that when you did your design then? Because we can see one behind us here that's got more RGB in it. Was that a consideration for you, or did you just go for it?
I made sure that a lot of the, because I was aware that the RGB strip was towards, you know, one side, since we weren't working with a full RGB setup in this case. I predominantly faced the design to have the more important elements to be closer to the RGB.
You've thought it all through, haven't you? I'm dying to get my mitts on one and have a go myself. Carol, thank you very much for coming in and talking us through your experience and giving us your top tips. Excellent work there. And if you fancy your very own AeroCool Skribble Case, then you can get yours now at scan.co.uk.